Let's dive into what I like to call the connection code. We're going to unpack some incredibly powerful yet surprisingly simple principles for just mastering human interaction. And these aren't just, clever social hacks. Nope. These are timeless truths about how we as people actually connect with each other. You know who I'm talking about, right? Those people who can walk into any room and they just click with everyone. They make friends, they build trust. It seems totally effortless, almost like some kind of magic. But what if it's not magic? What if connection is actually a skill? A skill that anyone, and I mean anyone, including you, can learn. So, almost 100 years ago, this pioneer in human relations, a guy named Dale Carnegie, he got obsessed with this question. And what he found was that real connection, it's not about manipulation, it's not about forcing things, it's really about a few fundamental ideas that tap right into our basic human nature. So let's explore the code he managed to unlock. Okay, so the first and honestly the most important lesson here is a total mindset shift. It's going to require you to completely flip the script on how you approach pretty much every single conversation you have. Think about it for a second. Most of us, we walk into a conversation trying to be impressive. We want to show how smart we are or how funny or successful. We're totally focused on being interesting. But the real secret, the absolute game changer, is to turn that around. Focus all of your energy on being interested in the other person. And Dale Carnegie just nailed it with this quote. I mean, think about how simple but also how profound that is. The world is just full of people scrambling to get into the spotlight. So the person who unselfishly shines that light on someone else instead, well, they have an enormous and very, very rare advantage. And this means asking questions where you actually want to hear the answers, People just light up when they get to talk about what they love. So your job isn't to put on a show, it's to provide the stage and just listen. That one thing alone will make people think you're one of the best conversationalists they have ever met. Here's a really simple way to think about it. You might love chocolate cake, but you wouldn't use a piece of cake as bait to catch a fish, would you? Of course not. Fish want worms. It's the exact same thing with people. The only way to truly connect is to talk about what they want, what they're interested in. And this isn't just for, casual chats at a party. This stuff works in the most high-stakes situations you can imagine. During the darkest days of the Civil War, Abraham Lincoln would invite an old friend over to the White House. He'd just talk for hours, wrestling with these impossible decisions. He wasn't asking for advice. He just needed someone to listen, to truly, deeply hear him. That's how fundamental our need to be heard really is. Okay. So once you've made that mental shift, there are a few incredibly simple actions you can take to build that immediate rapport. Let's call it the instant spark. Let's start with the easiest one of all, a real, genuine smile. It's this universal message that costs you nothing. It immediately says, I like you, I'm happy to see you, without you having to say a single word. And get this, it doesn't just make the other person feel good, it's actually been shown to improve your own mood. It creates this awesome positive feedback loop. Our name, it's like a core part of our identity, right? It's what makes us, us. So when you remember and use someone's name, you're not just being polite. You're paying them a really subtle but really powerful compliment. The industrialist Andrew Carnegie was an absolute master of this. He was locked in this bitter rivalry with another tycoon, George Pullman. So when Carnegie proposed they merge their railroad car companies, Pullman was, pretty skeptical. So what did Carnegie suggest they name the new company? The Pullman Palace Car Company. He put his rival's name in the spotlight, and that move won him over instantly. That's the power of a name. Now, we've got to be careful here because there is a huge difference between making someone feel important and just, sucking up. One of the deepest cravings in human nature is the desire to be appreciated. But, and this is a big but, it has to be sincere. Flattery, on the other hand, is cheap, it's obvious, and honestly, it just comes off as selfish and manipulative. So the trick is to be specific and heartfelt. Instead of saying, you're a great presenter, try something like, your presentation was fantastic. I learned so much from how you broke down that data. See the difference? One is kind of shallow. The other is a genuine gift. Okay, so we've covered how to start a connection, but what happens when things get a little tricky? Let's talk about handling the tougher side of interaction, disagreement. Carnegie pointed out that 9 times out of 10, an argument just ends with both people more convinced than ever that they are completely right. And why is that? Because you can't really win an argument. I mean, even if you score all the logical points, you've probably lost the other person's goodwill, and that's way more valuable. Criticism almost never works because it puts people on the defensive immediately. It feels like a direct attack on their self-worth. So it doesn't inspire change. It just inspires resentment. We have to remember we aren't dealing with creatures of pure logic here. We're dealing with creatures of emotion, pride, and ego. So instead of that direct confrontation, try a softer approach. Something like, well, I thought differently, but hey, I could be mistaken. Let's look at the facts together. That little change invites cooperation instead of conflict. It takes the spotlight off their ego and puts it right onto the facts. Oh man, there is incredible power in this one. When you know you've messed up, just admitting it right away, quickly and emphatically, it completely disarms the other person. You basically take away their entire reason to fight. It stops a small issue from blowing up, and more often than not, it actually earns you a ton of respect. So the next time you feel yourself getting into a disagreement, just try this framework. Don't think of it as a battle to be won. See it as a chance to learn something. Stay calm, listen, really listen, find even the smallest little piece of common ground, and then genuinely promise to consider their viewpoint. This simple process can turn arguments right back into productive conversations. So after all this, the question is, what how? How do you actually use this stuff? Where do you even begin? Look, the goal here isn't to become some totally different person overnight. The real goal is to make small, simple changes. Think of it like a little low-stakes experiment you can run in your very next interaction. Just pick one. Seriously, just one. Maybe try to really listen, not just to figure out what you're going to say next, but to actually understand. Or make a conscious effort to use someone's name. Or find one thing you genuinely appreciate about a person and just tell them. See what happens. Because the secrets to human connection, they aren't really secrets at all. They're just choices waiting for you to make them, one conversation at a time.